Hey, Luke here. In this video we're going to talk about whether or not you should wear an impact vest. So we're going to go through a couple of the different types of impact vests, whether or not they might suit you, whether you should wear one, how they work, and what you can look for that might suit your own particular skill level or riding style. So this is my impact vest, and there's a few differences between this vest and other vests, and so that's really what I want to cover today. But first off, I want to start by saying that if you're doing any form of water sport, you really should be wearing some form of, a buoyancy aid of some description. You never really know when something's going to change or something's going to go wrong, and I've found that any form of buoyancy aid can really help you in those sorts of situations. And so this video, I'm going to give you a little bit of a guide for what you can look for in a buoyancy aid, but overall I've really got to say that if you get an impact vest that is comfortable and you're happy wearing it, then you're just going to wear it every time, and you never know when it's going to help you out. For me personally, this particular impact vest, and we'll go through some of the specifics in a second, but it's not a life jacket. Okay, this is very minimal amount of foam in here, but I've found, just in my experience, I wear this every single time I go kite surfing. Okay, in the other videos that I've made, you'll see it's under my shirt. I put it underneath my shirt or my rash vest or whatever. I'm always wearing it. And I've found that if the wind drops out and your kites hit the water and you're there toggling around with your lines trying to get the thing back up in the air, then this can really help with your energy levels while you're treading water. So this just gives you that little bit of extra sort of assistance, so that while you're treading water, you've got more time, you've got more energy, and you can apply more thought to getting the kite up instead of worrying about swimming so much. So let's talk about how a buoyancy aid is rated and how it works. Now, it's rated in the amount of lift that it creates, and that's measured in newtons. So newtons is the amount of force. So just to give you a really quick rundown, I'm not a physicist, but just to give you a really quick example of what a newton is. Right now, this is a bottle of water. You can see it says 591 milliliters on the label there, and I filled it a little bit less than full, so it's around about 500 mils. 500 mils is half of 1 kilogram, or half of 1 liter, which equals in still water 1 kilogram in the metric system. Okay, so this is half of 1 kilogram in my hand. Now, if I hold this on the palm of my hand, it's applying a certain amount of force down. It's pushing my hand down. That's called a newton, right? That's a measurement of newtons. And for 500 milliliters, that is applying exactly 5 newtons of force down. Okay, so for every 100 milliliters, or 100 grams, it should be, sorry, so for 500 grams, so half a kilogram, it's applying 5 newtons of force. Now that just gives you a little bit of a sort of visual feel for what a newton is. So that's about 5 newtons pushing down. When you're learning, if you've taken a lesson, you would have been equipped with a jacket that has a minimum rating of 50 newtons. All right, now that 50 newtons, so that would be 10 of these, right? So 10 of these worth of force. You can imagine if I had 10 of these stacked up, that'd be a considerable amount of force pushing my hand down. But with a jacket, that's the amount of force of lift. So a 50 newton jacket would be 10 of, the weight of 10 of these, how much that feels actually lifting you up out of the water. Now, the reason that you have a 50 newton jacket is because that amount of lift actually will lift your shoulders out of the water. It'll actually keep the top part of you out of the water, even if you're just sort of starfishing there and not swimming. All right. Now, it's not a life jacket. Okay, life jackets are like 100 newtons plus, and they have these big sort of neck things. And what that means is if you fall unconscious or asleep, it rolls you over and it keeps you the ability to breathe with absolutely no input. That's not what it is, but a buoyancy aid of 50 newtons will actually help you so much that you can sort of, stay your head above the water. Now, the traditional, or I say maybe the most common sort of impact vest that you might buy isn't rated to that. And so my impact vest right here, this Ion impact vest, and this is just the one that I chose. Okay, I'm not sponsored by Ion or anything like that, but I've chosen this one because it's the most comfortable fit for me. The most important thing you can do is choose an impact vest that is comfortable for you, because again, that makes it so much easier to put it on every time. This keeps me warm, keeps me comfortable, and so I want to wear it. Now, if we just have a quick look at the product description here, you can see it says right here, this is not a life jacket or buoyancy aid. Okay, it says it right there. And if we refer to this, it says, this product is not an impact vest. It will not protect you from injury, notably from spinal injuries. It's not CE marked for buoyancy aid or approved for use as a buoyancy aid, right? It's not for used for people that can't swim, right? So what's the point in wearing this? What they're saying there is that this doesn't have the amount of Newton lift that's going to really save your life. If you fall unconscious, this isn't going to help you. If you can see, you know, as we come down through here, this is just neoprene, right? The bottom half of this, when the foam ends, it's just neoprene. Now, the reason that I own this one is because when I put it on, when I do it up, it's really comfortable, right? It stays down around my waist, locks in, and it's really comfortable. Now, when I combine that with my harness, particularly a harness like this, like a hard shell harness, they're not really forgiving for size, which means that this fits perfectly for me, okay, with my harness. Now, if that was full of foam all down through there, then this wouldn't fit, but you can see that because all the foam is in the upper half of this vest, it allows my harness to fit really nicely as well. Because this isn't a buoyancy aid, okay, the purpose of it for me is that while it's not an impact vest or a true buoyancy aid, it still offers a certain amount of lift. This foam still offers a little bit of Newton lift, and it also offers a little bit of protection if you come down and you slap yourself hard, right? If you've been doing jumps or anything, you never know when you're going to come down on your back or on your side, and because you're holding the bar, your arm might be extended and you're going to get a little bit of a slap. This foam, I'd much rather be hitting this foam on the water than my skin, right? And it really does make a noticeable difference when you crash if you're wearing a vest that has some form of foam in it. Also, like I mentioned, you know, if I'm sitting in the water trying to relaunch my kite, just makes things so much more relaxing because it just does help that little bit. While they say it's not a buoyancy aid, if you think about it literally, it is aiding your buoyancy slightly, okay? And so this, depending on your skill level, might suit you. If you're a brand new beginner, then you may want something with more foam. If you have a different harness, perhaps you can have one of the vests that goes all the way down filled with foam. This is going to add more Newton lift, okay? Again, it's important to have something that's comfortable, but if you consider the location that you're kiting in and your swimming abilities and your kiting abilities, then maybe it's advisable to have something with a lot more lift. If you're a beginner, like I said, if you're doing lessons, 50 Newton meters, right? But if you're really experienced, then maybe something, just a little bit lighter, and you really have to choose that for yourself. But if you can't swim, really, you shouldn't be kitesurfing at all. Go and get swimming lessons. But if you're only a weak swimmer and you know that you can't really swim your way out of a situation, then you probably want more foam around your body. But overall, guys, I've got to say, overall, I think you should definitely be wearing an impact vest. I once had somebody say to me, like, Luke, you're a good enough kiter, you don't need to be wearing an impact vest. And I thought to myself, it was when I thought that I was getting better at kiting that I decided to wear an impact vest, okay? Because that's when I was crashing, that's when I was slapping on the water, and that's when I thought that I needed it the most. And so that's not to say you don't need it when you're a beginner. Of course, you can have it the whole way through. But for me personally, I just don't think that there's any reason why you wouldn't wear one. They're really comfortable. They go under your clothes if you want them to. They fit with all the harnesses, okay, and you can find one that really suits you. So look, that's my little spiel on impact vests. I hope that was helpful. Thanks again for watching, guys, and we'll see you in the next video.